Hello, this is Gail with Beaded Jewelry Diva, and today we are going to do something different. I haven't done a chainmail video tutorial in a long time, so I thought I would go ahead. Today we are going to learn the European 4-in-1 weave. This one I've done as a 5-row wide, and this one I've done as a 3-row wide. So you'll learn how to do the weave, and you'll also learn how to put on the clasp. So it's not only a tutorial, it's also a project. And question for you, would you like me to do more chainmail classes, or would you like to see chainmail classes where I've bead embellished some of the projects? So why don't you either put a note down below or give it a like if you'd like for me to do more chainmail and or beaded chainmail. But meanwhile, let's go ahead and see what it takes to go ahead and make these bracelets. For supplies, I'm going to be working with 18 gauge 4mm inside diameter jump rings today. I'm going to be doing it in two different colors so you can see the pattern just a little bit easier. You will need somewhere in the vicinity of between 200 and 250. I think my bracelet uses about 225. You will need 2 pairs of pliers. I happen to put Tool Magic on mine. I have a video that explains why I do that, but you don't have to. Just I have 1 chain nose, 1 flat nose. You can use 2 chain nose, 2 flat nose, a bent nose, anything but a round nose. You will also need a twist tie or a paper clip, and then another ring that is larger than the others, or a different color or something, because this is going to be something where we're going to be hanging on to things. Now what I've done is I've opened some jump rings and I've closed some jump rings. I don't like to usually do all 225 or so at one shot. I'll do, 10 or 20 of them and then go ahead and do the weave and then do some more. Up to you, however you choose to do it. But let's go ahead and get started with the weave. I'm going to demonstrate this with some larger jump rings just in the beginning before we move on to the jump rings we'll use for the bracelet. But these are 18 gauge jump rings and they are 5.5mm in diameter. What I've done is I've closed up my dark jump rings. I've opened up all my copper jump rings except for one which I have put a twist tie on, and this, the only reason it exists is to help me hang on to my weave in the beginning. So I'm going to start by picking up a copper jump ring, putting it through my twisty ring, as I will call it, and then I'm going to put on 4 of the dark closed jump rings. And then I'm going to close the copper jump ring. So what I get looks like this. We've got what I call my mutant mouse phase. There we go. And the reason I call it mutant mouse is because 4 rings are going through this particular one. Every ring that we add from here on in, I'm only going to have 2 of what I call the ears added. So I call this my 4-eared mutant mouse. So the reason I call it a mouse, and I'm not the first person to do this, I don't know who came up with it, but these dark rings are the ears, and this copper ring is what we call the forehead. So this is the orientation that you want when doing the European 4-in-1. You want the forehead to be at the front and the 2 ears to be at the back. You do not want the ears to be flipped over. You don't want it to be where the ears are in the front and the forehead is in the back. That's not something you want. You want it so that you can see our little mouse's forehead. And the ears are both flipped back. So that is the proper orientation. Now, to continue the weave, I'm going to pick up one of my copper rings, my open copper rings. I'm going to go down through this first ear on my right. I'm going to twist around the back and come up through the back of the ring. Then I'm going to add 2 closed jump rings. And I will show that to you again. So I've added those 2, I've closed the copper, and then I'm opening it up again so that I have my mouse ears. Pick up another copper, open copper, down through the ear on the right, around the back of the head, and up through the other ring, so the left ear. Add on 2 more, and close. Okay, I still have my twist tie ring, and what I'm going to do now is my silver rings are going to be the forehead of the mouse, and the coppers are going to be the ears. So I've got 1 silver ring, and I'm adding 4 closed jump rings to it. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 4 jump rings, and I'm going to close the silver ring. So silver ring closed. Now I'm going to go ahead and lay my ears. That's why I wanted to show you with the bigger rings first. So you can see my little forehead here in silver and the 2 ears in copper. I'm going to take another open silver jump ring. If I can grab onto it. Got an open silver jump ring. I'm going to go down through the ear, curve around, and come through the other ear. So down and around, and I've come through the other ear. Before you close it, add 2 more jump rings this time. So from now on, whenever you're adding a silver ring, you're going to add 2 closed jump rings. So we don't have any mutant mice anymore with 4 ears. Now we just have mice with 2 ears. So you can see again my little forehead. And it's very important that you pick up this orientation, where you have your forehead and then you have your 2 ears behind the forehead, and I'll show you in a second what happens if you do it the wrong way or the wrong orientation. But again, through the ear, around the back, and then through the other ear. Add on 2 closed jump rings. Now that I've got a few more jump rings on, you can see that the pattern looks a lot more established. And when I hang it this way, you can see that it kind of hangs the way it's supposed to. Now let's put on jump rings incorrectly, and I'll show you the difference as to how the piece lays. So this time, what I'm going to do, and this is easy to do if you lay down your jump rings, is you pick it back up, and let's see if I can do this right. You pick it back up, and when you orient your rings, you orient them this way so that the forehead is hidden. So let's see if we can see that a little closer. The forehead is to the back and the ears are to the front. Now if I pick up a silver jump ring and I do my normal motion, back around, and then add 2 more jump rings, you can probably already see what happened. You can see that all of a sudden, instead of having the chain, all of a sudden I have a 2-in-1 chain. So you've got to always be careful about when you're doing this, make sure you see the mouse's forehead. Oops. Make sure you see the mouse's forehead whenever you're doing this. As you can see, I've got quite a bit more done, and it is 3 rows wide, so I've got a copper, a silver, and a copper. And if you like it this width, no one says you have to make it any wider. Just go ahead and put on a clasp and call it done. But if you'd like to make it 5 rows wide, here's how you're going to do it. So I've still got my tail end with a twist tie down here. So I'm going to go up to the top, and I'm going to put it in its normal orientation. So mouse ears and forehead. I'm going to take one of my open jump rings, and this time what I'm going to do is, see these 2 rings on the side? I'm going to go up through both of those rings. So I'm coming up from the bottom, and I'm going through 2 of them, and I'm going to close the jump ring. And you thought it was going to be more difficult. Nope, adding these side rows is a whole lot easier. So to add the next one, I've got another open jump ring. I'm going to go down to the one immediately below this ring. So this is the ring that it's going through. So I'm going to go to the one right below it. I'm going to go up through it, and then up through the next one. So the 2 rings are going to be sharing one. So each ring, or each silver, is going through 2 coppers, and each silver ring is sharing one ring with the copper right above it. I probably just said that really badly. But here we go. One more time for good luck, and then I will show you how to do the opposite side because it's just a little different. So here's the one right below the last ring that I put on. Here's my copper. Here's my next copper, so you can see. And then close. Alright, you can see that I've put on my 4th row of these silvers. If you like it like this, just call it good and put on your clasp. But if you want to add a 5th row, here's how you're going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to take my bottom end, the end with the twist tie. So I'm going to turn it so that my copper rings are on this side. I'm going to take a silver, and this time I'm going to go work up from the bottom. So I've got, and the way you can think about it is, you can see that I want to overlap my silvers so each one is on top of the next one. So what I'm going to do is put my silver through the 2 rings, 2 copper rings. And I know I need to share the rings again. And I need to make sure that this ring is going to be sitting on top of, whoopsie daisy, it's going to be sitting on top of this other silver. So I've got my ring that's being shared, and then I've got the next ring. Now, as before, you were kind of putting them in from the underneath. This time you're putting them, so each ring was kind of underneath the next one. This time they're all going on top of the next one. So I'll show it to you again. So you can see I've got my 2 rings here. This is the ring I want to go through next. And then I want to go through the very next one. So this is how it looks now. Before I show you the 5-row wide one, I want to show you how to put a clasp on this 3-row wide one. This is a simple hook and eye clasp. What I've done is I've just marked the end ring that I want to use. And this is just to make it easier to remember what orientation they're in. Okay, so I'm going to just open up this end ring. Slip on the clasp, close the ring, and one clasp attached. And for my other side, always make sure that your jump rings are laying in the proper orientation. before you put on this side of the clasp for sure. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a single jump ring through my end one. So this is like the last forehead. Then I'm going to take another jump ring, put it through the same forehead ring. And I hate it when I do that and I lose my place. There we go. So this is the second jump ring through that forehead. So now I've got it looking just like a 1 and 2 chain. And I'm going to put one more jump ring through. And the reason that I do it this way is because I want to give myself a more obvious target to look for when I put my clasp on. So this lets me easily see where I need to put my clasp. For my 5 wide bracelet, I want to put on a bar clasp. So I've got one that's magnetic, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 4 jump rings to attach this, because obviously I have 2 on each side. And here's how I'm going to decide what rings to use. Now I have these already marked with wire, but what I want to use are my 2 copper jump rings at the end. So I want to go ahead and put my jump rings that are going to attach this to my clasp through these 2 rings. So I'm going to pick up an open jump ring, put it through one side of the copper ring, if I can get it through, and then attach it to one side of the bar clasp. And a magnetic might not have been the best choice for this ring or for this particular bracelet, but it was the only clasp I had that was even faintly silver. Yikes. Alright, I'm checking to make sure that my orientation is correct, which it is. So I take my next jump ring, feed it in, attach it to the other end of the clasp, and close. Now when I put on a bar clasp like this, I always like to put it on with both sides. I don't like to put it on just one side at a time, and the reason being is it's awfully easy to end up attaching them incorrectly and then have to redo one of the sides. So here I've got one side and I need to go ahead and do the other. Now this is the side that had my twist tie. So I'm going to get rid of everything that's above these 2 copper rings, because those 2 copper rings are the ones that I want to attach to my clasp. So I'm going to get rid of this silver one, which was my original mutant mouse ear. So I've just got my 2 coppers, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to go ahead and take my jump ring. I'm going to make sure that I've got everything straightened out, and then I know exactly which hole I'm going through on this bar toggle or bar clasp, and put it through. So I'll double check to make sure that yes, I do have it on right before I put on my second clasp. And it's not that difficult to, just redo these, but, why open and close toggle clasps more than you have to? So, there we go. This is what the tube clasp looks like. As you can see that it fits perfectly with the two jump rings coming out from here, where I can just attach a jump ring on either side, and that makes a perfect size for this particular bracelet. Now, obviously, if you made it wider, like if you did a 7 wide, you could have a 3-ring tube clasp, and you could do it that way, or you could, just get wild and crazy and do all sorts of things with your clasps. So there we go. You can see what it looks like for this 3-ring versus the 5-ring. And, I would say just kind of go with it. Copper's great for starting out because it's not that expensive, and it's fun. And I also like to use the enameled copper rings, so that's what you see in the silver. This is actually an enamel coating over the copper, and they're inexpensive as well because it's copper based. The coating seems to wear pretty well. I've used it a lot, and it wears well. So I would say the enamel coated copper is good, plain copper, and then when you start getting really into it, then I would say try sterling silver, or if you've got money to burn, gold filled. So that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up. I would love to see you over at beadedjewelrydiva.com. And this is Gail signing out, saying have yourself a great day. Bye.